Hi, I'm Holden Caulfield, and this is my story. He was one of these very, very tall, round-shouldered guys. He was about 6'4" with lousy teeth. The whole time he roomed next to me, I never once saw him brush his teeth. They always looked mossy and awful, and he damn near made you sick if you saw him in the dining room with his mouth full of mashed potatoes and peas or something. Besides that, he had a lot of pimples, not just on his forehead or on his chin, like most guys, but all over his face. And not only that, he had a terrible personality. He was also sort of a nasty guy. I wasn't too crazy about him, to tell you the truth. Stradlater was more of a seeker slob. He always looked alright, Stradlater, but for instance, you should have seen the razor he shaved himself with. It was always rusty as hell, and full of lather and hairs and crap. He never cleaned it or anything. He always looked good when he was finished fixing himself up, but he was a secret slob anyway, if you knew him the way I did. The reason he fixed himself up to look good was because he was madly in love with himself. He thought he was the handsomest guy in the Western Hemisphere. He was pretty handsome too, I'll admit it. But he was mostly the kind of a handsome guy that if your parents saw his picture in your yearbook, they'd right away say, "Who's this boy?" I mean, he was mostly a yearbook kind of handsome guy. I knew a lot of guys at Pensy I thought were a lot handsomer than Stradlater, but they wouldn't look handsome if you saw their pictures in the yearbook. She was a funny girl, old Jane. I wouldn't exactly describe her as strictly beautiful. She knocked me out, though. She was sort of muckle-mouthed. I mean, when she was talking and she got excited about something, her mouth sort of went in about 50 directions, her lips and all. That killed me. And she never really closed it all the way, her mouth. It was always just a little bit open, especially when she got in her golf stance, or when she was reading a book. She was always reading, and she read very good books. She read a lot of poetry and all. I remember this one afternoon. It was the only time old Jane and I ever got close to necking even. It was a Saturday and it was raining like a bastard out, and I was over at her house on the porch. They had this big screened-in porch. We were playing checkers. I used to kid her once in a while because she wouldn't take her kings out of the back row. But I didn't kid her much though. You never wanted to kid Jane too much. When I opened the door, this prostitute was standing there. She had a polo coat on and no hat. She was sort of a blonde, but you can tell she dyed her hair. She wasn't any old bag, though. She came in and took her coat off right away and sort of chucked it on the bed. She had on a green dress underneath. Then she sort of sat down sideways on the chair that went with the desk in the room and started jiggling her foot up and down. I sat down in the big chair next to her and offered her a cigarette. "I don't smoke," she said. She crossed her legs and started jiggling this one foot up and down. She was very nervous for a prostitute. She really was. I think it was because she was young as hell. She was around my age. She had a tiny little weeny, whiny voice. You could hardly hear her. She never said thank you either when you offered her something. She just didn't know any better. Finally, old Sally started coming up the stairs, and I started down to meet her. She looked terrific. She really did. She had on this black coat and sort of black beret. She hardly ever wore a hat, but that beret looked nice. The funny part is, I felt like marrying her the minute I saw her. I'm crazy. I didn't even like her much, and yet all of a sudden I felt like I was in love with her and wanted to marry her. I swear to God, I'm crazy. I admit it. She had one of these very loud, embarrassing voices when you met her somewhere. She got away with it because she was so damn good looking, but it always gave me a pain in the ass. I was getting a little too personal. I realized that. But that was one of the annoying things about Luce. When we were at Wooten, he'd make you describe the most personal stuff that happened to you. But if you started asking him questions about himself, he got sore. These intellectual guys don't like to have an intellectual conversation with you unless they're running the whole thing. They always want you to shut up when they shut up, and go back to your room when they go back to their room. When I was at Wooten, old Luce used to hate it. You really could tell he did. When after he was finished giving a sex talk to a bunch of us in his room, we stuck around and chewed the fat by ourselves for a while. I mean the other guys and myself. In somebody else's room. Old Luce hated that. He always wanted everybody to go back to their own room and shut up when he was finished being the big shot. The thing he was afraid of, he was afraid somebody'd say something smarter than he had. He really amused me. That's all I'm gonna tell about. I could probably tell you what I did after I went home, and how I got sick and all, and what school I'm supposed to go to next fall after I get out of here. But I don't feel like it. I really don't. That stuff doesn't interest me too much right now. A lot of people, especially this one psychoanalyst guy they have here, keeps asking me if I'm going to apply myself when I go back to school next September. It's such a stupid question in my opinion. I mean, how do you know what you're gonna do until you do it? The answer is, you don't. I think I am, but how do I know? I swear, it's a stupid question.
Just got lost. Every river that I tried to cross, every door I ever tried was locked. Oh, and I'm just waiting till the shine wears off. You might be
About all I know is, I sort of miss everybody I told about. Even old Stradlater and Ackley, for instance. I think I even miss that goddamn Maurice. It's funny. Don't ever tell anybody anything. If you do, you start missing everybody.